Welcome back to your Mercedes-Benz Devils postgame show, where New Jersey's season comes to a close here in Game 5 of the series as Carolina takes the 5-4 win in double overtime. Dawson Mercer, Timo Meyer, Stefan Nason, and Nico Hischier were the Devils' goal scorers tonight, and Sebastian Aho with a pair of tallies and the game winner. He secures the big win for Carolina, advancing his team to the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And New Jersey faced 53 shots tonight, a franchise record for any playoff game they've played in their history. So not the way New Jersey was hoping this game would pan out, especially having the success they did back at home in double overtime. But just what a valiant effort just in this series as a whole from this group.
Yeah, it was very impressive to see the resilience in this group. They could have easily packed it in before the series even started because of all the injuries that they had, and the fact that you go down 2-0 and then you go back home, you get that double overtime win. You had so much energy, so much confidence from that game. Game 4 obviously didn't go the way that we expected, a little bit of a tough start, and then tonight, it was heroic. They came out. I didn't know what to expect from this team, right? We didn't know if Siegenthaler was going to play, if Pesce was going to play. They could have easily packed it in the first period, and everyone said, well, you know what, they're depleted. But that wasn't the case. They came out. They caught Carolina by surprise, quite frankly, Rachel, in my opinion, and that's why they were able to get that 3-goal lead. They took advantage of Kochetkov being a little bit shaky. But Carolina is a veteran team. They got a lot of depth. They had to push back in the second period, and it came down to one shot. And for the Devils to be able to stick to it into another double overtime showed me that they came here to win. It wasn't they come here just to play and just put time in. No, they wanted to win. They wanted to bring this back to the Rock. It was evident in tonight's game, so I commend them for that. Yeah,
it was apparent from start to finish here in Game 5, and Carolina definitely had ownership of that first overtime period, but it seemed as though New Jersey came out with a little bit more jump in the second, but it was an unfortunate play here with Dawson Mercer. He thought he was following through on his clear, and it clips the Carolina Hurricanes in the face, and after further review, it was called a double minor for high sticking, sending the Devils on the 4-minute penalty kill, and things were looking good. There was less than a minute left on this penalty kill, and this is an area that Carolina has really found a groove in on their power play, so things were looking really bright for New Jersey in these moments.
Well, yes, and this is why you don't look to the regular season and say, hey, well, their power play, that being Carolina, finished 25th. They don't matter in the playoffs. It's are your top players, are they executing, are they feeling good about it? But look at the captain, like blocking shots, absolutely fatigued, and look, by the time of the night, you're not as sharp. You've been killing. You've been defending for the whole first overtime, and so Markey did the best that he could. He was, fighting for his team left and right, and great shot, Sebastian Aho. That's their number one guy over there, and he was able to have a timely moment for his team, and I can't take anything away from the way that the Devils were playing, how they were killing there. Unfortunate moment for Dawson Mercer.
Yeah, not the way that the team would want to close out the series, but just the effort overall, especially for Jacob Markstrom. You could see the emotions on his face and his reaction to them being able to clinch the series. He wanted to win that game through and through. The effort that he had, even through the second period, a period that maybe he was feeling a little weary in, and he was able to lock in the third period, keep it a 4-4 game, and carry that over into facing, 14 shots in the first overtime period. He was a gamer here tonight.
He sure was, and that first overtime, he was sliding all over the place. He was making those athletic saves, the desperation, to really just show his team like he was fighting for them, and that's what you want to see from him. He's an emotional guy. I've come to spend some time with him. He's always smiling. He always has a response when he has some of those lows, and that's what you want to see from your number one goaltender is how does he react when things aren't going well, and we saw that throughout this season. That he's going to be there for you, and when he, maybe has a stretch of hockey that isn't his best, like when he came back from his knee injury, right? He's the first guy on the ice. He's the hardest working guy for you, and you're going to see that, and it resonates inside the locker room. So the season that he had was at times really incredible, just to kind of come to a new team, knowing that you're the guy, and then have a Vezina-like start, and then get injured. You don't get to play in 4 nations. And so we saw him come out of that and have a little struggle because of it emotionally, as anybody would. But then down the stretch here, he was remarkable for the Devils. And yes, you're always going to look at games and say, well, maybe there were some saves that a goaltender would want back. Well, you know what? As a former defenseman, there's some times I need to block a shot. I need to get a stick in the lane. I need to make sure that I don't allow certain situations to happen. So by no means can you always just point things onto your goaltender. And you got to make sure that everyone understands it as a team effort, and I saw that from this group.
Well, I think Jacob Markstrom proved to Tom Fitzgerald, the guys in the locker room, and to all of you fans that he is the guy that wants to be here in New Jersey, and he is capable of taking on a whole lot as a veteran goaltender, and we're so happy to have him here.
We welcome you back to the Mercedes-Benz Devils postgame. Devils season comes to an end here in Raleigh in Game 5 as the Devils fall 4-1 in the series, lose 5-4 in double overtime today, and you can really boil this series down to the power play, Dano. It's a power play goal that wins it in double overtime for Carolina. They score 6 times on the power play. The Devils do not score on the man advantage.
Yeah, you look at it right there. That's the series. You can't sustain that. I mean, 0 for 15 on your own power play. Carolina, terrific penalty kill, found a rhythm, and their power play 6 for 19. And in this game, after the Devils took a 3-0 lead, they end up getting a 5-on-3 goal and double minor in overtime. So that was a difference. Was there circumstances along the way? No question about it. You're missing some of those D-men, those big bodies. It takes its toll. And they did a pretty good job for a lot of the penalty kills, except near the end, you get worn down a little bit. It's not an excuse, it's reality. They're banged up. Do I think they would have had enough moving forward, even if they found a way to win this game? Well, realistically, probably not, because there were so many guys worked their tail off. I mean, the captain was great all series long. And we mentioned a lot about the defense during the game, and Dumoulin and Pesce and Siegenthaler, all those guys that had a great effort. But at the end of the day, when you play a team that has 4 lines that can play, and they play them all pretty equally, and they have 6 defensemen that they roll, it eventually does wear you down, and you have one mental mistake. Did I like some of the penalties today or calls? No. I mean, Mercer's a tough one at the end. It's legit, but having said that, to kill 4 minutes in overtime is really tough.
Yeah.
But during the game, you got to find ways to overcome tough calls that go against you, or calls that were phantom, whatever it may be, because it happens every night. It happens every night in the playoffs for every team. And usually when you have a little more depth, a little more health, you're able to get through some of those, and the Devils just couldn't get through some of those penalties they took throughout this series. Give Carolina credit as far as their power play. Aho, Jarvis, Stankoven, you go on down the list. Their first and second units, Hall, who played pretty well, had so many looks, and that, again, is taxing on the Devils' penalty killers.
You know, let's talk about some of the things Devils can learn from this series, because, again, this is still a team at the beginning of its hopeful championship window. You got to take and learn from an experience like this, and that's why it was so important to get in the playoffs. I think one thing we learned is that Nico Hischier's a playoff player now. He scored 4 times in this series, took so many big faceoffs. He was drawing the tough matchup all series long, and the captain showed that his season he had in the regular season translated here to the postseason as well.
Well, look, their core group of Hischier, Meyer, Bratt, obviously an injured Jack Hughes, missed Luke Hughes tremendously just because of that skating ability against a team that pressures as good as any team in the National Hockey League in the Carolina Hurricanes. But you look at your core group, and we named some of those guys. They all stepped up, considering they lost this series 4-1. All contributed, all did what they had to do. And this is you nailed it, Bill. I talked about they needed this experience, regardless of who was injured. You know, I thought when they were reeling, they might reel right out of the playoff spot and not get this chance. Well, Carolina's an experienced playoff team. They've done it year after year, gone a couple rounds, gone to some Eastern Conference finals. They play hard. They get it. Now the Devils' core group got a little taste here, and they're going to be hungry going into next season because, do they need to add pieces? We'll talk about that a little bit, what we feel they need to add. But those core group, they're going to say, hey, we're this close to being successful, and we know how hard we have to play. Those guys in particular, took a step as far as playoff hockey, that core group. And, you see Cotter and Nason, who fought it during these playoffs a little bit, have a big game today. And did enough to maybe propel the Devils, and which I thought they probably should have won in regulation, and after that ran out of a little steam. But all those are good steps because those guys moving forward are going to be key role guys.
Yep.
And that's what playoff experience does for you, you hope, going into next year. And you better be, you better be disappointed. You better be hate to lose. You better be angry, regardless of what you had, regardless of your personnel. But it has to hurt. And if you're going to get to the next step, it's going to take everything and everybody. And I've been on both sides of it. So I come from experience, Bill. But you have to hate it because teams I played on, they hated to lose.